Revox G36 valve tape recorder, a stereo model. They're very heavy, even though they're supposed to be portable. There's a little in the back here. The mains cable, some old 2-pin version, and it says Revox Stereo Model G36. So it'll be interesting to see if it is stereo. Now, these are heavy, and when they come through the post courier, this is what tends to happen. Let's just get the lid off. You can see the frame, aluminium frame that holds this very heavy unit has been smashed, and I've seen this before. If it gets dropped sideways, the frame just can't take the weight. Over here is an empty cabinet. You can see the metal frame, it's cast all the way around with some air vents, and it's screwed in. So luckily I've got this, so I can at least repair, put this either in there or put this frame in here. So we're going to have a look at it. We're going to have a look at whether it's stereo, which it is, and clean it up, check the valves and everything else. It seems to have had a service at one point or other, and this is in Italian, VU meter and lamp, so hopefully there's nothing particularly wrong with it. So it's just a matter of getting it out the case. Some screws around the outside, there's one missing here, and generally take it apart and see what needs cleaning and fixing. The bottom of the unit comes off quite easy. It's just got 4 screws in exposing all the valves for easy servicing. Obviously somebody has serviced this in the past and they've written all the valve numbers on, and we've got 100% values on them, so it looks like it's been well cared for. On the components, this is a later unit. It's got the bias trap here. Looks like a couple of components, these capacitors have been changed only. That's right at the beginning, I think, of the chain. Everything else looks pretty much original. Speaker, and you can see a bit of damage here where it's been banged. The case steel has been bent over. This has been ripped off the pop rivets. So just going to take it out of the case now. To remove the top cover, you just take off the 3 screws on the spool holders. You take these little things out here, one each side. You pull off all the nods, and it should come off now. These pop out through the holes, and when you put it back on again, they're a bit of a fiddle to get in the holes, but not impossible. And so that should come off now. Right, with the plastic top removed, you can see some of the working. You can get to the bulbs, and you can get to the counter here. This counter normally breaks, so hopefully this one's still working. You can get to the brakes if they need adjusting or cleaning, and the heads, you can see that the heads don't seem to be adjusted. The red fixing marks on all these things. This is a tape. They used a lamp on the later one, so this isn't the latest one. The tape loading makes a contact, and this is for the spool size. That just pulled off. When you put it back on, you just got to make sure that that fits round. This goes round, doesn't get bent out of shape. Anyway, I'm still having trouble getting it out. So I've just got to undo these 2 screws. You can see that screw has been smashed off. This one's bent out of shape, and then we should get it off the frame. with the chassis mount screws removed. You can see a bit of the broken chassis falling out. You can ease this out of the cabinet, so I can do with 2 hands, and then stand it up. Cabinet's a bit of a mess inside. These screws that are screwed into the wooden case have all been torn out of their screw holes. You can see, so I'm not sure whether this case will be reusable, as all these screw holes are completely trashed, unless I can fill and re-drill them. I'll compare the quality of this case to the other one. As far as the unit goes, now that it's out, you can access more of the electronics. You can check the motors, and there's a relay here which is taking a bit of a bashing, I think, by the case. You can check the wiring, and on this side you can check some of these high voltage capacitors, make sure they're alright. Resistors, and generally make sure nothing's been damaged when it was dropped. And you can get through all the contacts if necessary to clean and lubricate them for all these switches. Speaker's not too bad. There was a cork insert surround that went all the way around here. They seem to disintegrate and fall off, and it's got a small tear just down here, but it's not scraping, so it's only for monitoring. You wouldn't normally use it for hi-fi through the speaker, but these were used in classrooms and all sorts of things, and it's not a bad speaker for that. Just a bit of fiberboard it was screwed onto, so this very high quality chassis, and a bit of fiberboard for the front. Okay, end of tape switch on this machine is not working properly because it's the old mechanical. When the tape's here, it pushes this lever, this little bent bit of wire, and there's a contact here which is between earth and this yellow wire. It's just at this point here, but obviously they changed to a photoelectric cell after this because this corrodes and gives bad contacts if there's not enough pressure. And then on this machine you can tell by looking at this meter here, just an analog ohm meter. Now that is supposed to be a short circuit on there. If I just rest it on there, it's not a good contact. You have to literally, I've got to push it to get a good contact. So I've got to clean this and perhaps bend this to get a bit more force. I clean the contacts down here the best I can. It's a little bit of bent wire, 2 bits of bent wire. I tried carefully with some fine sort of emery paper, but I had to do quite a bit of bending of both wires to get some pressure when this operates. And you can see now you've got an earth, it goes to earth, it's contacted at the moment. When the tape's on, it opens it, release, so now we've got a proper contact there. And there's just enough pressure movement on there. Hopefully make sure that is pressing in the center and doesn't go too far one way or the other, it might come off. You can see how the tape out detection works. Tape pushes this and that contact is open just there. As soon as the tape comes off, this little the spring part that is held over by the tape goes back that way, and that contact meets us there. And the contact's made there. If the tape bounces a lot, it can shut off during spooling. You'll have to adjust that gap if you've got one of these that is playing up. But later on they put an opto detector, which was much better than this mechanical part. Next thing that doesn't seem to be working is this spool size switch here. It's got this little pair of contacts just at the end of this arm, and when this is activated by the by this rotary switch, these contacts open and close. You can see them close, open, close, open. Problem is, when this is on, it's not operating that switch for some reason. I don't know what's gone out of shape here. It's just, it hasn't come loose. So when this is on, I'll just put it on in a second and show you. After a bit of fiddling, I've got this mechanism to work now. I don't know why it's out of shape, but the contacts here open and close now as you turn it from large spool to small spool. One thing you can do with old valve equipment to make sure that there won't be any problems after the thing's been on a while is to check that the valves are not loose in their sockets. So just move the valve very slightly while it's obviously plugged in and connected to the amp, and you will find that most of them are fine. The output ones can be a bit hot. So now as you get closer to the input ones, so it's more sensitive, you can see that moving this one here, you're getting a bit of noise. So it might be worth just tensioning the pins or cleaning them until that stops doing that, or plug it in a few times until there's no more noise, because any vibration if it's on the table or something would cause noise. But you can see by keep moving that around it's reducing it. So plug it in and out. If it still makes a noise, you sometimes have to, if the sockets are a bit opened up a bit, you might have to bend the pins very slightly so they give a nice tight fit. So that seems to stop making a noise now. So, oh, that's good. One problem with this mechanism here, which tells the recorder there's a tape loaded, this contact here, which is spring loaded, when the tape's in, it tends to bounce when you start, especially with spool reels. It starts, and if the tape bounces, it bounces in and out and keeps stopping and starting, makes it hard to start. They got round it later on with an optical device in here in later models, which was better. But even so, to try and get round it, they put a relay in here, which when you press the start switch, operates for a little while as this capacitor discharges through the relay, and holds this switch on here, giving an extra boost of power to the take-up spool. On this one, I found it kept bouncing badly, so I've taken the relay out. It just plugs in the side. It's very easy to get out, and I'm looking at it here, and I think it's not working. It seems to be doesn't seem to have any movement at all. It seems to be jammed. So that's probably why that tape kept bouncing every time I tried to start it up. So I'm just going to have a closer look at this and try and work out what's the matter with it. Well, the switch was jammed. There's a tiny little plastic plunger inside down there, red it is, and it must have been stuck or something with age. And when this mechanism operated, and it hadn't got much movement, nothing happened. But by pushing these springs around a little bit, I freed it up, and now if you watch the meter across the contacts, and you can actually hear it clicking now. Before it wasn't doing that. So hopefully it's not going to play up anymore. I'll put it back in and see if that take-up problem has stopped. After getting this relay to work now, the circuit works properly now, so when you press start you get an extra spool in on there. torque so it doesn't bounce anymore. It picks up nicely. So it's another fault fixed. Got this is the levels, and to get the output equal, you've got this channel right down showing no level hardly, and this about the right level. So these VU meters are way out of calibration. They've got to be calibrated. To adjust the VU meters, you can use obviously an input, a tone, and adjust for maximum distortion as in the instructions. Another way to do it, if you've got a music source, is make sure your music source is outputting without distortion. So you check that the graphic is just not going above the maximum level, and then you switch your tape monitor and you adjust the volume out from the tape to be the same volume as you switch backwards and forwards without any change in volume, and then you adjust the VU meters. You set the controls to about where you want them to be, and then you go around the back, and there are two potentiometers here and here for the left and right, and you adjust them up and left and right, and you can adjust the VU meters until they're hitting the 0 mark near enough without, and that will be maximum level without distortion, because if you adjust them so that you can turn the input up even higher, you will distort the tape. You'll get a much higher output and it will be distorted. What you want is the output to be the same, and then you can check the left tape and the other and the right one as well with this tape output 1, tape track 2, and make sure they sound okay, and check your VU meters about right. On replay, just check that by monitoring, putting this on 1 to 2 and 2 to 1. You could monitor the level coming off of the tapes. Just make sure they're about equal on the knobs, and it's not too low or too high, and that will make sure that the VU meters are reading about right. When it's laid flat down, noise from the capstan motor is low, very low, and when you press play, it's got enough force to move that. Now it's supposed to be 1.7 kilograms, and with this meter, you need to hook that round there and pull it. According to the service manual, the pressure on the pinch roller should be in the region of 1.7 kilograms and can be adjusted, but you just pull this away until the tape stops moving. We'll change the speed. It shows it here. You connect it just on there. So let's just turn this on. Now I've connected it there, as you can see, and we're looking for a pull on here. Okay, it's upside down. It's going at 1.2 to 1.3 kilograms, so the pressure's too low. Unfortunately, to adjust it, you've got to take the get underneath this deck and adjust a nut there, which is going to be quite annoying to get to. Check the solenoid, and turn the nut number 13 in there. Well, it works alright horizontally, but vertically that it would need adjusting. Playing back a high quality recorded tape. and on the graphic equalizer, on the output showing left and right, you can see that the frequency spread on both channels left and right is very good, but including up to 10 kilohertz. That's the monitor there, and plenty of output on the speakers if you want. I'm feeding it out to hi-fi, so it's the replay response is excellent. The wind and rewind's working fine, and the take up of the, when you press play, there's no bouncing. Now I've adjusted the bias pots for left and right for maximum signal with this tape, and this is the playback, and that's the signal in, and that's the signal off the tape. It's almost identical on left and right channels now. Right, I've adjusted everything that I can, the bias, and cleaned it, and it's all working really good. I've adjusted the VU meters and the levels, and if we just play something, you can see that the levels, that's the input from the CD player, and that's the output from the tapes. The signals that's in stereo. You can see the frequency responses are the same as well, and the level meters. That's tape. That's tape 1 and tape 2. Track 2 and combined. I better just pause that in case YouTube do it. So it sounds very nice. Obviously the quality of the tape will affect the performance, but the actual sound output is nice and crisp and percussive. It sounds very good indeed. So that's about it. I'll put it back in the cabinet and do a final check with some big reels. Making a recording on the big spools. You got the tape on, monitoring the output from the tape, and that's the input. As you can see, the frequency response is the same on both channels, and we can monitor the tape output 1 and tape output 2 all combined. You can tell it's the output from the tape, because if I pull this off, you can... Oh, can't pull it off. There. Oops, stopped it. So it was the output from the tape and not monitoring the input. I'm going to clean up the case the best I can, the vinyl anyway, with some of this, which seems to work very well. Get some good rubbing on that. And then I think the case should be not bad. I've got to fit the closing plate here from this one into here. Then the badge is missing, which I might be able to get it off there and stick it in here. Anyway, I'll see how it comes up and make a decision which case I'm going to use. I filled in all the ripped out screw holes with some of this very strong alphatic resin, the best you can get. And I filled in the holes, and before it sets really hard, I'm going to fit the fit the sides in, and the sides go down and rest on the buffers down there, and the two holes in the bottom, the screws come up. So I've got to get it into position and then try and put the screws in on the sides so that it's pretty much square, and hopefully got plenty of the screws that came out. Hopefully I'm going to have time to get it lined up. I've put the two chassis support panels in. There's 4 screws in each corner. Hopefully they're going to be lined up when I drop the tape main chassis in. Just checking the conductivity to the chassis. It's looking fine. You don't get a very low resistance to the graphite, but as long as it's connected, that's all that matters. So next thing to do is drop the chassis in and make sure that these screws line up with the holes here. Okay, with a little bit of pushing, I managed to get the 6 chassis screws in nicely. So that's good. So now it's just a matter of cleaning these spool faces up here, holders, with some cleaner again. I'll clean that one. That's come up nice and clean compared to that one. I haven't done it yet. Clean the face with something that won't take the lettering off. Clean these up as well. I mean, we've already lost the lettering, just basically off of that one anyway. And put that cover plate back on. Plastic chassis bottom has a sort of a conductive coating on it, and with a connection here, hopefully connects to the chassis. Anyway, on this one I decided to put a bit more on this conductive coating, graphite. I need to spray it on, and it covers the this little aluminium bit of foil as well, and it will help keep out any interference from the sensitive parts of the electronics at the bottom. A bit of conductive tape also, and these are little rubber buffer which sometimes fall off, and they were missing. Luckily I was able to take them off this other spare bottom. You just tape wraps around like that. All back in the case. I've cleaned the case up, and the top and everything has come up pretty good. The lid is this piece of vinyl inlay. I think it's been replaced at some time. Someone's cut and stuck another piece in. I think it's not the original. It's coming off a little bit. May just stick that down. I just cleaned it. It's got a lot of scratches on it, but it's still okay. It's not broken at all, so it still will fit on. Got little side clips. So these are heavy things. No wonder they got broken when people carried them around. So I'll do one more sound check, and then that'll be finished. Final check of the machine. Now it's all finished. I did stick the vinyl down on the lid, and another thing I did is I replaced the original 2-cord pin cable with a kettle plug connector there, which you can unplug, and that will then stick behind the case at the back, and you can shut the lid down the back. So everything's working. Another thing I did do is this spindle was bent, and I've straightened it out quite well. Still not perfect, but it was I don't know how people manage to bend these things. I had to take it off and straighten it. And it's fast spool in. You can fast spool from one direction to the other direction. It's quite kind on the tape, doesn't stop instantly and snap the tape. And that is the obviously the selector for large and small spool. And the bounce contact thing is just underneath this cover. Be careful if you take this cover off and you put it back on, not to catch the edge of the spring, which is quite close to the edge. So start. I didn't record anymore on this one any further, so there's nothing recorded now. All these controls are all working, obviously, and the on-off switch. And take the spools off and put the lid back on.